Hello listeners and viewers. Welcome to Kaduna State Ministry of Education Radio and TV e-learning program designed for our SS3 and other students staying at home due to the coronavirus pandemic. The present administration, under the able leadership of His Excellency, Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, is positioned, as always, to ensure that under his leadership, our students are not left behind in all areas of human endeavors, especially education. Kaduna State is the center of learning. Therefore, we want to ensure that our students excel in their forthcoming examinations and beyond. Students and other learners at home are given this opportunity in order to continue learning, as education is a continuous process. Different subjects will be taught in this program to assist students to perform excellently in the forthcoming Senior School Certificate examination being conducted by NECO and WAEC as soon as schools reopen. Teachers making presentations will always provide their names and phone numbers during each presentation, and they can be contacted for questions, further explanations, and/or clarifications. The following numbers and contacts can also be reached for expression of any concern or observation: 090-865-00545 or 080-383-62072. Our website is www.education.kdsg.gov.ng. Our email education@kdsg.gov.ng or education.kdsg@gmail.com. Our YouTube channel, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Our Twitter handle @Kaduna_MOE. Or our Facebook page, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Stay safe, stay at home, and learn well. Thank you, happy listening, and happy viewing.
Hi learners, it's another awesome opportunity to be with you on this platform. Today we are going to be considering a topic, data and information, under the subject computer studies. In a way, by the end of this class, we trust God to be able to, number one, define data and information, state the differences between data and information, give examples of data and information, state the sources of data and information, and lastly, the qualities of good data and information. In a way of introduction, in previous topics we've learned, we established the fact that a computer is an electronic device that is capable of accepting data through the input device, processing the data through the central processing unit, and eventually bringing out an output, that is the result, through the output devices under the control of some set of instructions which are called programs or softwares. So it is in this context that we want to explain data and information. The computer takes in data and processes it and gives us out information. And we are going to be defining the word data. Data, these are unprocessed facts like text, numbers, sound, and images that can be sent into the computer for processing. It is also defined as a collection of facts such as values or measurement. The data about triangle are the base and the height. Just like I said earlier on, data are the raw facts. They are the raw facts that are going to be imputed into the computer through the input devices. And this raw fact, for instance, if you want to eat jollof rice, raw rice cannot be jollof rice. Raw rice is our data. Then when the raw rice go through the process of cooking and so on, and everything, ingredient is being applied, which is the processing, and we have jollof rice by the end of the day. Now we can call our jollof rice, which is ready to be eaten, as information. So data is what? The raw fact that has not been processed. Information, this is the data that has been worked upon or processed into a meaningful or more useful form, which the computer can store or reprocess. It can be in the form of charts, tables, or pictures. Just like we have said earlier on, we had established the fact that what? Data are raw facts. Information are now what? Data that has been what? Processed into what? Its meaningful form. Example for a triangle, the data are base and height. Those are the data. So by the time we are able to find base multiplied by the height would give us what? The area of a triangle, and then we have what? An information about the area of what? A triangle. So the information is what? Data that has been processed into something meaningful, into something that could be accepted and could be understood by everyone. We have examples of data if you're with me and your eyes are up on the screen. We have items, we have the data, we have the process, and what? The information. These are processes what every data go in. Items such as numbers, we have data like 0, 1, 2, 323. For it to be processed to be what? 323 times 2 would give us what? 646 as our information. For alphabet, the data form is what? I, N, G, A, E, R, I. On a very natural form, this does not really make any serious sense. These are just a bunch of alphabets put together without any meaning on the word dictionary. But when it goes through the processing stage, we have what we call N, I, G, E, R, A. This is what ringing a bell. This is bringing out something more meaningful. And by the end of the day, we have the information of the word called Nigeria. Then we also have words. We have words such as best, simply, you, the. These words are our data, and they are not arranged and they don't really sound like something meaningful, but when they are rearranged to give us you, simply, the, best, we have as information, you are simply the best. Now we have communicated, and now we have said something that is meaningful. Then fourthly, we have symbols. Symbols are signs. Examples of symbols, we have the percentage symbol, that's the percentage sign. We have the hash, we have the @ symbol, and we have the ampersand, and so on and so forth. We use as what? Symbols. So, but these symbols on a very normal ground would not make a meaning. But for instance, we have 10% of 100. It makes a meaning. We are asking of what? The 10%, that's using the percentage sign of 1,000. Then our information would give us what? 100. 110% of 1,000 is what? 100. Now we have an information that is what? Meaningful. Then second to the last example, we have possibly a triangle, which I have stated earlier on. The data here are what? Base and height. And when it's being processed, the area for a triangle is what? Half base times height. So when we have half base times height, it gives us what? The area. Our area becomes what? The information of what? A triangle. Likewise, we have the rectangle, which we have the data to be length and breadth. And the area or the formula for calculating rectangle, area of a rectangle, is length times breadth. When we multiply the length times the breadth, we have what? The area of what? A rectangle, which is our what? Information, which we can actually work with. We have differences between data and information. Students, it's very important that you know this, because eventually in your examinations you're going to have questions as such. You'll be asked, list 3 or 4 differences between data and information. They are very easy, so I need your attention so we can go together. Differences between data and information. Number 1, you have to let it come to your mind as the definition. The definition of data and the definition of information are automatically one difference between data and information. We have data is refers to as the raw fact or the lowest level of knowledge. And then we have for information, it is the processed outcome of a data. That is data that has been processed. That is number 1 difference. The second difference is data by itself alone is not significant and it's not meaningful. But information, on the other hand, it is significant and meaningful by itself. Thirdly, you can go to examples of data and examples of information. We have an examples here, letters of alphabets, e.g. O, H, L, O, C, S. Then under information, when arranged, we have what we call school. The words put together would give us what we have as school, which is a place of learning, and that becomes an information to us. Then lastly, we have numbers like 0, 6, 2, 10. And when we arrange them, when worked upon, we have 10 divided by 2 would give us 5. That is an information. And I would always advise you learners that when you are asked to give differences like this, you put it in a tabular form so that it will be easier for the teacher or your marker to really understand what you are referring to. Then we have sources of data. Everything has a source. Sources of data are places we can get data. And don't forget, we say data are raw facts that has not been processed. So sources of data are the places, the areas we can get what we call our data. We have a lot of them. You can be asked in exams, list 5 sources of data. So you need to know this. Number 1, we have people. From people we can have data. For instance, if we are trying to find the total number of individuals in Kaduna State, citizens or people staying in Kaduna State, residing in Kaduna State, the number of people would give us data. The number of people in Chukun local government will give us a data. The number of people in Jama'a local government, and so on. And when we have all of these local government put together, it gives us an information about the total number of people in Kaduna State. Then we also have homes. We can go to homes. They could ask you, for instance, we need to find the number of citizens or number of people per home in Kaduna North. Then we can now go from house to house seeking for the total number of individuals in a home. We have hospital. The hospitals could be found to be used. For instance, we could be asked, we want to know the total number of COVID positive members, individuals in Kaduna State. Then we can visit hospital to know people or cases that has been recorded positive. We have offices. We can find a lot of information from different offices. We also have classrooms. We can find the number of students in the classroom. We can also find the total number of students in an entire school using the classrooms. We have radio station. We find data. We have information from the radio stations. We also have the television stations. We can also find relevant data and information from there. We also have newspaper. The newspaper carries a lot of data you could find. And finally, we have marketplaces. The marketplaces are also a place we could find a lot of data. And on and on and on. At least you should know 5 of these sources of data and you'll be good to go. Then we have, lastly, we'll be seeing the qualities of good data and information. The qualities of good data and information is important that every data and information should carry these qualities, and we're going to be seeing these qualities one by one as I explain them briefly. Number one quality is accurate. We are speaking of accuracy. Every data or information must be accurate. When we speak of accuracy, we are referring to the correctness of what? A data or an information. When you know how correct, when for instance you're being asked, what a form master is asked in a school that has GS1, A, B, and C, and he was asked, what are the total number of what students in GS3? When he gives a random number, something, for instance, he gives that of just 1, A and B, it's not complete, so it's not what? Accurate. Accurate means it must what? Be correct. And we are able to find what? The relevant information. Then the number two quality, we have meaningful. Every good data and information must be meaningful. When we say meaningful, what do we mean? There must be, one would be able to reason to whatsoever data or information is given to such a person. For instance, when we speak of the total number of staff or the total number of students in a school, the principal of a college calls maybe the statistic officer, I need a total number of students in this very college, and the statistical number added what gave her just number of SS1, GS1 to GS3. They are not complete. It's not actually meaningful. It's not actually delivering what is required of. But by the time what the total number of students is being gotten, then we can say this data or this information is what? Meaningful. Then we also have comprehensiveness. Comprehensiveness. Another word for comprehensiveness is completeness. It must be complete. For instance, if we want to record the information, the academic performance of every student is formed by the cumulative of all of his subject performance put together. By the time a form master or a form mistress does not put all of this information or this data, because for every subject is a data. For instance, if he or she excludes mathematics or exclude English or exclude French from what? The data that are collected, then we can say it's not comprehensive. It's not comprehensive in the sense that it's not complete. But by the time every data, every subject is well entered and the score of the student is well captured, then we have what? A comprehensive what? Information or a comprehensive data of what? A student. Then we also have what we call relevant. That is the relevancy of the data and the information. By the time a staff is being asked, or a statistic officer, I'm making this example so that you can actually relate to, in a school environment, is told that we need the total number of students, and he's adding with the number of staffs in the school. The number of staffs at that very point in time is not so needful. That is not what is required. As important as the total number of staff is, at that very point in time is not what? Relevant. What is relevant is what? The number of students in the school, and that is what is required from what? The form master. So it is not what? Relevant at that point. Then we have also timely. Every data and information must be timely. In so many cases, you see when an information or a data is required of a staff, and that very staff is unable to deliver those data or information at the required time, then it's not timely. If the information needed to be submitted to a higher authority today and you're bringing it tomorrow, it's late. So every good information or data must be what? Timely. Then lastly, we're going to check suitability, that is suitable. Every good information or data must be what? Suitable. Suitable with what is demanded. If in a scenario, a specific when we're speaking of students and you're bringing the issue of food from the market, it does not really it's not suitable. They don't actually come to terms with each other. But when we're speaking of students and you're speaking of scores or test scores, yes, these are our suitable information. You're speaking of how many times the student came into school. They are suitable in trying to compute the entire maybe performance or the entire being of a student. So these are the qualities we are able to check. I remember the qualities are accurate, meaningful, comprehensive, relevant, timely, and suitable. You can be asked, give 4 examples or give 4 qualities of a good data or an information. These are the qualities. I'm going to round up this very class. I believe you have learned a lot, and we've come to the end on the topic data and information. And I will just give a recap of everything before I give you an assignment that would actually keep you busy. We were able to define data and information. We define data as the raw fact that has not been processed, and information as the raw fact that has been processed and is meaningful and is useful. We're able to see several examples of data. We have the alphabetical examples. We have the numerics examples. We also have alphanumeric, that's combination of both alphabet and numerics. We also saw words. We're able to see a lot of examples. We also saw triangles, which are items, and we saw how we could bring out the data from them and how they could be processed, and we have information. We also saw very, very important the differences between data and information. It's also very, very important how data could not stand alone on its own, but information can stand alone on its own. It's meaningful. Data is not meaningful on its own, and we saw examples we cited. You should be able to at least give 4 differences or 3 of data and information. We also saw the sources of data, which is also very relevant. There could be no information without data. So therefore, where we would get this very data are we saw places like from people, from homes, hospitals, offices. We also saw from marketplaces. We can see radio stations, television, newspaper, and so on and so forth. So you should be able to know at least 5 or 6 of this. Then finally, we saw the qualities of a good data and information, which is accuracy, meaningfulness, comprehensiveness, relevant, timely, and suitable. So these are what we're able to check. So I would encourage you students to continue studying your books, and don't forget my nugget I always give: he that fails to plan is planning to fail. So I encourage you students, burn the midnight candle, study very hard. Hard work doesn't kill, so that you'll be able to stand independent of any person in any exam hall and write your exams. I encourage you and I implore you to study hard and be the best of you always, wherever you find yourself. So I would not leave you idle. I want to keep you busy with an assignment. The assignment goes thus. Number 1, we have define data and information. Number 2, give 3 differences between data and information. Number 3, list 5 sources of data. Number 4, list 4 qualities of a good data and information. I'm going to read that again from the top. Number 1, define data and information. Number 2, give 3 differences between data and information. Number 3, list 5 sources of data. Number 4, list 4 qualities of a good data and information. If you're done with this, you could also find these books very useful and relevant. These are references you could fall back to for further information. We have the HIIT PLC, Computer Studies for Senior Secondary Education. We also have Advanced Computer Science for Senior Secondary Schools. These are the reference book. You could submit this assignment to me through my number 080-364-20271. I come again, 080-364-20271. I still remain Mr. Ezekiel Abrak Anthony, and I encourage the students to stay home, stay safe, and keep learning. And God bless you. See you next time.